Jason, I am going to throw a curveball in here, and I hope this is received well to the audience, because of the digging I could do on Bufkin in his situation, I don't see the evidence, and that's the key factor that I want to see personally. But I am gonna say,
I'm glad you're bringing this up. I'm glad you are, because I wanted to talk about this too.
I am gonna say something, and I hope it's received well. But here's what I know right now. We have a gentleman who served 6 months in the Air Force. Something happened in his wife's life. His family death, maybe a child died. I mean, it could be, we have no idea, right?
All speculation at this point. Yeah. All you know is the end result.
Yes. And so she, for lack of a better term, goes crazy and has a mental health breakdown to a point that allows this Air Force active duty airman to leave the service on a hardship discharge. That's not common. I only know one person on a hardship discharge. It's because his wife was terminally ill. He got out of the Marine Corps. His wife died. It's a super sad story. And that's like the level of discharge, right? So we know that it's serious, right? It's serious enough to do a hardship discharge. Well, this airman decides to do a claim for post-traumatic stress disorder, is denied. And then there's two parts to this. One, he's denied, and two, in an article, I think it was from military.com, an article had mentioned that the PTSD diagnosis was not in line with the VA standard for post-traumatic stress disorder. So that's what we know.
Right.
And all I'm saying is, I think the stepping stone to the Supreme Court really matters for that veteran specifically. But there's a lot we don't know too. So don't shoot me yet.
Right. And here's my kind of take on it, and I already know how we, the veteran community, can be even against ourselves, right? We are sometimes the hardest critics on ourselves, but don't let anybody else say anything about any one of us, right? That whole thing. So I had this feeling when I was going through it that there could be a little additional focus, if you will, on that service member's situation. And you're like, wow, come on, man, you don't deserve that anyway. Take that aside. Who cares, right? Who cares if he does or if he doesn't? Like you said, we don't know the evidence. Apparently, there's enough to take it to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court to actually hear it. Because guess what? The Supreme Court says no way more than they say yes to hearing a case. So there has to be some sort of merit to his claim. Whether we, the general population of veterans, agree or not, based on extremely limited information, it doesn't really matter. So don't get wrapped around the axle on the stories that took us here, but rather the reason why we're here, which is the benefit of the doubt rule was not taken into consideration and essentially skipped over at the highest levels. And I think that what happens is that the argument from the VA from their attorney is essentially, this shouldn't be like the court shouldn't have to bother themselves with, they would have to, it's extra work and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, well, when does it get checked? If the VA screws it up front and they don't deliver on the benefit of the doubt rule, then who does? Mm-hmm. Right? Where's the checks and balances, right? So I think that at the end of the day, I'm hoping, right, that the court, the Supreme Court, the justices look at this and they realize that there is an issue,